So now my script has finished and I have all my records here. I can import them into Excel. So if you open Excel or any other database editing software, go to Data, from Text, and from here you can import your text document. And it will create this wizard to help you import the document correctly. So in the first page you want to do delimited because we're using a delimiter to separate out the columns. Hit next and you can see the typical ways to delimit: tabs, semicolons. In our case we're using the pipe, so just hit other and select the pipe, and here it'll give you a preview and it looks like it's splitting it the right way. And then you can just hit finish here, and now you can see our entire database of attractions, and we've gotten the name and the number of views of every attraction. So that finishes off our first web scraping code. You can see it's not that much code, and the ideas are very simple. You basically have to figure out the structure of a web page, how to loop through a series of pages, how to extract the right kind of information from each page, and then store it into a file. And the reason we put everything into these functions is it makes it easier to break up our code, and then we can add functionality as we need it to a specific part. So for instance here, if we wanted to not just get the name and the number of reviews, but any other information, we can just add that here and it'll automatically add to our file. And so this is the basic sort of setup, and all of this code might change slightly for specific implementations. Like I said before, every website is slightly different, but if it's a Web 2.0 site that's based on pulling from some database, it's definitely going to have this kind of similar structure, and it's all about how to sort of adapt this basic structure of this code to the structure of your specific website that you're interested in. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how to catch errors within your code automatically so it doesn't crash your program. And this is an important technique to know because when you're running these automated processes, somewhere down the line, even though you've read the structure and structured your code correctly, something might happen unexpected and throw an error, and it'll crash basically your entire code. And what you want to be able to do is basically catch that automatically so it doesn't stop your entire code. And here's an example where I ran our code, and somewhere down the line it basically threw an error saying that there was no such thing as the number of views I was looking for. And this happens a lot. Basically, even though 99% of the entries might have reviews, one doesn't, and you don't want this to crash your entire code. So what we can do is go and try to find what the problem was. Since we printed out which pages we were working on, we can go to that actual page and find the error. So if we go to page 18 and then try to find the listing that gave the error, so if we go back to our shell, it seems like the one after 8 is never enough. You can see here that some of these listings appear to just not have any reviews. Basically, they have an entry but no reviews. And this is okay. I mean, we can't predict this. We can't look through all of the website. That's the whole idea. But we want to be able to catch this. And it's pretty simple to do this in Python. Basically, we go to the code that's throwing the error, and it's this one where it can't find number of reviews, and we wrap it in what's called a try except structure. This is sort of the error catching structure in Python. Basically, we tell Python to try to do this, so try to get the number of reviews here, but if something happens, it's called an exception. Any error is called an exception in Python. So here we're saying if you get an exception and we catch the exception as E, this doesn't matter. This is if you want to print out what the error was. But in our case, we just kind of have a default fallback position. So here we'll just say number of views is 0. Okay, so what this does is basically every time it tries to do this, if it throws an error, it will do this instead. And because we caught the exception, it won't exit out, it won't cause Python to crash. Okay? So that's the basic idea of catching errors, and it's something you might want to do if your code is crashing and it's nothing really wrong with your code, it's just something unexpected in the website structure. You might want to put these kind of exception catching into certain pieces of your code.